We know that President-elect Trump has issued a statement on Truth Social congratulating Speaker Mike Johnson for receiving an unprecedented vote of confidence in Congress. Mike will be a great speaker, and our country will be the beneficiary. The people of America waited 4 years for common sense, strength, and leadership. They'll get it now, and America will be greater than ever before. That's from the president-elect. At the same time, around that, there was a note from 11 of the House Republicans who voted for Speaker Johnson with reservations. And I know they have reservations because they wrote it down in the letter and then tweeted it out to the world, saying we did this despite our sincere reservations regarding the Speaker's track record of the past 15 months and talking about the changes they would like to see. Sum up what we saw today, former Speaker McHenry. Do you think that this is a good sign of smooth sailing to come, or fasten your seatbelts?
Mostly a positive sign. This is a more reconciled Republican Party than where we were 2 years ago on opening day, with those historic number of votes that we had. First time in 100 years we had multiple votes for the speakership. We had one vote today. It was messy. It was choppy. It was newsworthy. We have Republicans that are different than the list that voted either skipped the vote or voted against Speaker Johnson initially, saying that they have additional terms and conditions they want on the reconciliation plan, on the tax extinction plan. It's going to be choppy waters ahead. It's going to be a really interesting Congress to watch, and a very difficult Congress to successfully legislate in, but one where I think at the end of the day, Republicans still can get things done and pass President Trump's agenda.
Scott? Yeah, a modicum of drama today, but ultimately a good, solid, and quick outcome for Trump and Johnson and the Republican Party. And now, thankfully, the Republicans can get down to business. A quick note on Johnson. This is a good dude. He's a good man. He's an honest man. He's an earnest person. I've always found him to be one of the people that's in politics for the right reasons. His rise to the speakership was unlikely, as you know, Patrick, but he earned it this time. He did a good job after having this job thrust upon him. He did a good job with it in a really challenging political environment. And he comes out today and he ultimately wins on the first ballot. It's going to be a hard job. There are going to be days where I'm sure he's going to regret his life's choices. But I'm glad he's the speaker, because when you think about all the people you've ever had in politics, I think Johnson's one of the best and one of the people that you can always say is doing it for the right reasons.
All right, stay with CNN for more on what's ahead after this dramatic vote for Speaker. Our coverage continues after this quick break.
Yeah, it was a drama-packed afternoon, as it was uncertain for some time exactly how Mike Johnson would get over the finish line given the opposition that he had and the narrowness of this Republican majority. Remember, he could only afford to lose one Republican vote given how tight things are in the United States House. He lost that one. Thomas Massie of Kentucky several days ago said he would absolutely not vote for Mike Johnson. Several other Republicans simply would not vote. 5 of them initially held out and said that they didn't cast their vote initially. Ultimately, they did vote for Mike Johnson. They put out a letter criticizing his handling of the last Congress, although they decided to vote for him in support of, they said, advancing the Trump agenda. And then 2 Republicans ultimately flipped. Keith Self and Ralph Norman. They actually voted for different candidates on the floor of the House, but they ultimately voted after closed-door negotiations, discussions with the Speaker of the House, and a discussion with Donald Trump himself, who called those 2 members. I just caught up with Keith Self, who one of the 2 Republicans who initially voted against Mike Johnson. He told me that there was a commitment by the Speaker to include members of the hard-right House Freedom Caucus as part of a negotiation of a bill to advance the Trump agenda. There's going to be a big bill this Congress trying to advance key aspects of the Trump agenda. Johnson said that they would be part of that negotiating team. Now, that's going to be a big question how they deal with that in the weeks ahead. But for now, Johnson has the job. I do want to bring in one person who was on the floor here. That's Congressman Tim Burchett of Tennessee. Mr. Burchett, if I can grab you, we're live on air. He's busy talking to other of our colleagues, but thanks for talking to me. You were involved in a lot of these discussions on the floor of the House. What was that like? It seemed pretty tense at times.
It did, but I've been through this before, and it wasn't any reason to get in anybody's face. I saw a member that had passed or voted the other way, and some people were getting in their face, and that always, to me, just you're going to push somebody farther away, and so.
Someone just got in someone's face.
I mean, you know how they do on the floor. They raise their voice. People tensions are tight. And I mentioned to the speaker that it might be a good idea to break off with them individually, and I think that's what he did.
I mean, did he resist that idea? Because for some time he was saying he was not going to cut deals with these members.
He didn't cut a deal. He didn't do that at all. He talked about philosophical issues, and I think they talked about access to the process. And some people feel left out, and frankly, they have been, because it's just so big. You don't know who to talk on which issue sometimes. 435 of us, there's no way to keep track of that.
So it's basically a promise to allow them to have more say in the legislative process.
I think so, and I think also budgetary items, they're going to consider their concerns, because that is what America sent us here to do. They're tired of all this fiscal nonsense. They're tired of what's going on at the border. And when they see that potential of that being eroded away, that just defies what the people sent us here to do.
But I mean, these are seem like though promises that really, he's not bound by these promises by any way.
No, I mean, we're all human, and I guess, you don't want to get lied to, don't come to Congress, I suspect, honestly. But again, Mike Johnson has never lied to me, and that is a rare commodity.
What ultimately got you to yes? Because you were undecided coming in. And why were you undecided?
Well, I prayed about it, and I've been through this thing so many times now, state legislatures, a county mayor, and I just have to get back to the basics. I pray about it, I ask God what I need to do, and I felt like it was, let's get to where we can, somebody you can work with, and that is truthful to you, and that's something that we haven't seen a lot of up here. And frankly, Mike is an honorable, honest guy. We just got the conservatives. I think our mission is going to be to back him up on these things, to let him know we are in his corner. We want to stand with him. We will stand in front of him if need be on these issues, because 36 trillion in debt, it's not going to work anymore.
I mean, what if he does what he did in the last Congress, which is he's got to rely on Democrats. He needs Democrats to keep the government open, and then the rest. And what if he goes that route again?
If he gets all the Republicans, he doesn't need any. The Democrats always talk about compromise when they're in the minority. But dadgummit, they didn't talk about it when they were in the majority, and that's just human nature. We're the same way.
What role did Donald Trump play here? We know that he called these two members. He talked to you as well.
I'm not going to talk about any conversations I may or may not have with the president. I'm just going to say that President Trump is very involved, as he should be. His agenda is America's agenda. It's an America First agenda, and that's in Tennessee. That's the majority of the folks, overwhelmingly in incredibly high numbers this time. I think I read a report in some areas 70% of eligible voters showed up.
But you defied him at the end of the year by not supporting the spending bill that he wanted and getting rid of the debt limit.
Sure, I made a commitment to the folks back home, and that's where I lie. I support the president, but at the end of the day, though, they got what they wanted. I don't see, and I would have gladly voted to raise a debt limit if we would make reductions in spending.
But I mean, do you really believe, being here for so long, that things are really going to change? All these process reforms, commitments to cutting spending. You think that this is that's going to happen this time?
If we give up, I ought to go home.
Just like that.
Just like that. If I give up, or if I don't think I can make a change or work towards making a change, I like to fight. I'm in it.
All right. Congressman Burchett, thanks for giving us your perspective about what happened on the floor.
Thank you, man. It's always a pleasure.
You got it. All right. Okay, Boris, back to you from some first-hand witness of what happened on the floor, who was involved in these talks with Speaker Mike Johnson, ultimately voted for him, despite, as you heard, some reservations.
Yeah, notably also, Congressman Burchett wouldn't say whether he actually spoke to former President Donald Trump or not. I should say President-elect Donald Trump. Manu Raju from Capitol Hill, thank you so much.